everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I've uploaded on YouTube. My channel before, you know that I used to make a lot of Disney content. I would go to the parks really often because I used to work for Disney, and I don't work for Disney anymore. And I also don't even live in Florida anymore, so a lot of the things that I enjoyed and most of the reasoning behind what I've vlogged had to do with Disney, and since I don't work for Disney anymore, I just was struggling to find a reason to want to make videos or something to make a video about. But then I found the world of BookTube. I've actually been on BookTube for a few years now, and one of the main creators that I follow is Haley in Bookland. She's actually probably the one that inspired me to finally make a BookTube. I have also been on Book Talk, which is TikTok for books, and I really enjoy being on there, and that's mostly what inspired me to get back into reading. I used to be a huge reader. I read all the time in high school. I literally always had a book in my hand, and I was most of the time reading instead of paying attention to whatever I was supposed to be paying attention to in class. But then when I graduated high school, I went to college, and then when I moved to Florida and started working for Disney, I kind of lost the desire to read. I didn't have the time for it, and it just was not really a priority in my life. I had other things happening, so I just didn't read. And then when I lost my job with Disney, I was having kind of an existential crisis because that's all I knew. That's all that I was as an adult, was a cast member, and my name on YouTube literally used to be cast member Kelsey, and I changed that and brought it back to my old name, which is Kelsey and Nicole. This is what I was on YouTube before I was a cast member. It's also what I am on most of my other social medias except for Instagram, which is by Bryce and Kelsey. And I just needed to get back to my roots, but I didn't know how to do that because I had never been an adult when I didn't work at Disney. And so I have done so much exploring and soul searching, and I feel a lot better mentally than I did a year ago, and part of that is due to reading finally again. So basically, I didn't know where to start with this channel. I don't know if it's going to be a BookTube channel totally, but I love the idea of kind of doing a monthly kind of where I'm at with reading. So this is going to be my September interview book edition. So anyways, let's stop blabbing about me. Most of you guys probably don't know anything about me, so that's it. That's my whole thing. Now it's time for the books. So in September, I have read, I think, 12 books. Part of that was a series, and 2 of them are graphic novels. So they were super short and easy. So I don't normally read 12 books, but that's what I read in September. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each of them, and hopefully I can remember all the things that I wanted to say. I have a lot of different genres of books on here. Part of the reason that I feel like I didn't really read that much when I graduated high school was because I didn't really feel like I had a genre that fit me. When I was in high school, I almost strictly read YA books, and then when I graduated, I was like, oh, I can't read YA books anymore. I'm an adult. Exploring all kinds of different genres and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I'm also playing a little bit of catch up in reading because a lot of really popular books came out in the time that I wasn't reading. So I'm kind of still playing catch up. There's been like 4 or 5 series that I've read this year that were kind of part of that 2015 to 2020 range. And one of the series that is in my September review is the Selection series, which I have basically started reading early this month, and I finished it, I think I finished the last book like a few days ago. The original series was the Selection, the Elite, and the One. I have the One. I think it's in my car. I bought these books from Better World Books, which is one of my favorite places to get used books. I bought this whole series from them, and the other part of the series, which is The Heir and the Crown, which I kind of feel like is its own series because it actually follows the next generation after this one. I borrowed from my library. So I have this one, and then I think the other one I borrowed is in my car, maybe, or maybe I borrowed it on an e-reader. Didn't know that this one actually came out in 2012, so I don't know if maybe I just didn't see it because it didn't get that popular until like later on in the series. But I never saw this when I was in high school. I definitely would have picked it up if I did see it because it was right up the alley of everything that I used to read when I was in high school. It basically follows a monarchy that is set in dystopian future America, and instead of the princes marrying royally to make alliances with other countries, they would marry from basically like a lottery of females in the country that he rules in. So it follows Prince Maxon, who has a selection of 35 girls from all over America. It's not called America, it's called Ilia, I believe. It's right up the alley of people who loved The Hunger Games and Divergent. It's really different from those because it's more, there's not as much fighting and dystopianness. It's more of just like a love story that's kind of interesting. It's very much like The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games. I actually feel like that's how they describe, yes, literally on the back of The Elite, which is the second book in the series, it says a cross between Hunger Games minus the blood sport and The Bachelor minus the blood sport. So very interesting, very cute. But otherwise, this was a really quick, easy read. I feel like I would have enjoyed this a lot more if I would have read it in high school versus reading it as a 23-year-old. But it was still enjoyable, and it definitely made me feel like I was in high school. It was really easy to read. I read literally all 5 books of the series, plus I read all, I think there's 3 novellas that I read, so that's like 8 books, which the novellas don't really count as books because they're like 100 pages. But I read all of those this month, so it was really quick and easy read, and it was very captivating. I feel like it was very easy to just hop on into the next one. I was really interested in it the whole time. So if I was in high school, I probably would have loved these, and I would have wanted to read them over and over again. So if you're in high school and you're looking for something along the lines of The Hunger Games, but you also really like the romance part of it that The Hunger Games I don't really feel like provided for me, I definitely recommend these. Relationships are very creatively explored. I never would have just, you know, thought this up in a random book. It's a very its own idea that I've never read anything else like it that's exactly like it. Okay, next, I'm sorry that spent forever on that. Well, I'll go ahead and say the 3 books that were in my best friend's book club. I have a long distance book club with my best friends that we actually send off. We each pick a book and we send it off to each member of our best friendship. And there's 3 books in those. One for my best friend Maddie, which is Maddie gave me The Enlightenment of Bees, which is by Rachel Linden, and it is a, I want to just say it's a regular fiction book, but I think it's actually classified under Christian romance. It doesn't actually have any religion themes in it. It's just a wholesome story. There is no like normal smut that is in a normal adult romance. So I feel like it's just like made for women who don't really want to read that. It basically followed a girl who she's in her 20s and she is living in a city with her best friend, and she's had this boyfriend for like 6 years, and then all of a sudden they break up and she doesn't really know what to do with her life. She feels like she's wasted all of her time with him and she hasn't really created anything of herself. So this opportunity comes up for her and her best friend to travel the world trying to make a difference. And so it's really a very wholesome story. It's very cute. And bees play into it because they keep following her in these random little places where she is trying to help and maybe she doesn't feel like she's enough, but then the bees kind of give her a sign that she's moving in the right direction. And everything that you do, you know, no matter if you are a brain surgeon or if you sell cakes for a living, like you make a huge difference in the world. And it was really cute and wholesome, and I loved that idea. And it was a very nice reminder that you don't have to be doing the biggest thing to be making a difference. Small things make a difference, and what you do matters. And I loved that. It was a great, fun story, and I loved that my best friends kind of recommended it to me. They each left me a little note in it, and I just loved it. It was very cute. The next book from our book series was Talking to Strangers by Marianne Boucher. It was a graphic novel, and it was a true crime graphic novel. It was very much different than anything that I would have picked out for myself, which is kind of what I love about having a book club, is that you get to have so many different experiences that you probably would have never picked out. So this was a graphic novel that was, I'll put the pictures of the books that I don't have here, and it was about Marianne. It was a true story. It was Marianne's departure from a cult, and it was very exciting and interesting, and I literally read through it so quickly. I think I read it within like 45 minutes. So if you're looking for a true crime story, if you like that kind of stuff, I definitely recommend it. It was super fun. Well, I guess not fun, but it was super interesting to read. That's kind of all I have to say about it. I don't know, but I definitely liked it, and I was glad that I got the opportunity to read something different, but I don't think I'd continue reading things that were similar to it. Next was my contribution to our book club, which was Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. So Pumpkinheads I picked because it was a cute autumn fall themed story, and I really just wanted to go ahead and jump on into that in September. So this was my first fall read. This in October I have a ton of fall reads planned that I will be doing, and I can't wait to do my October review. But this one is super duper cute. It's also a graphic novel. It's Rainbow Rowell, but then it says a graphic novel, Faith Erin Hicks, author of Friends with Boys. So I don't know if she did the illustration, but the illustration is so freaking cute. I love it so much. So this story is about Deja and Josiah, who are working on a pumpkin patch, and this is their last season working on the pumpkin patch. Actually, it's the last night of their last season, and it's very cute. It's an adventure novel where they have a point that they're trying to get to, but they are on the adventure and they run into a ton of different roadblocks within this adventure. It was so cute, and in the front of the graphic novel there is literally a map laid out of the pumpkin patch, and it is so fun to explore the pumpkin patch with them through their adventure. It was so immersive, and I was like, oh my gosh, I literally feel like I'm at a pumpkin patch in the middle of fall, and I freaking loved it. But yeah, so I don't want to give away too much because this book does have a little bit of a twist ending, but it was so freaking wholesome, and I loved it so much. And Kylo. But basically, they are trying to help Josiah talk to this girl that he's had this huge giant crush on the entire time he's worked at this pumpkin patch. And since it's their last night together, Deja is like, dude, we gotta go get you to talk to this girl. I don't care what happens, but you're gonna talk to her. So they are running all over the pumpkin patch, and they're finally getting to experience a lot of the things that they didn't really get to experience because they were working on the pumpkin patch. And it was so cute and so wholesome, and I highly recommend for a fall read. Next book is a book that I did not finish, actually, which is Midnight Sun. It is back there on that shelf. I didn't get it down because I just didn't want to disturb that shelf. This is my series shelf, and it is already full, as you can see. I could put books down here, but I kind of use this for storage. But yeah, I did not finish this because I super duper loved Twilight when I was in high school, and I feel like I've read Twilight at least 4 or 5 times, and I've loved it every single time. But I rushed to get Midnight Sun the day it came out, and I don't know, maybe it was just because I had so many other things that I was wanting to read at the same time. I just didn't get around to finishing it. It was so long. Like, it's literally as long as Breaking Dawn. Like, maybe it's like right up in between. I don't know though, because it's a bigger book, so I don't know like exactly how much longer it is in comparison, but it was so long. And with it being all about Twilight, which is not that long of a book, like the first Twilight. It's not about all of Twilight. It's just the first Twilight, and it's the exact story retold from Edward's point of view. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the excitement of getting to read it from Edward's point of view, but I don't know. Maybe it was like too little too late, and I just am not fully sold on it. But I don't know though, because I've reread Twilight as an adult, and it's still enjoyable to me. So I don't know. I might pick it up again, but I think that I just have so many other things right now on my TBR that I want to get to. I just wasn't doing it for me yet. So we're just gonna go ahead and move on. Next, we have When You Were Everything by Ashley Woodfolk. So I did check this out from my local library. It was recommended by a few booktubers that I really enjoy watching. And it was such an interesting story. So this is the story of 2 best friends who have like a disagreement, or like it's just like they stop being best friends, and it's actually tells you in 2 different timelines. So it tells you in the past and in the now, of kind of leading up to the moment and without like telling you what the moment was. So there's a specific moment that they stop being friends, and it's all about why they stop being friends, but then at the same time it is about why our main character Cleo maybe doesn't want the friendship anymore. She's kind of torn between if it's worth it to try to save the friendship and fix the problem. And it's a lot about placing blame and expecting our friends to be more than they're able to, really. I thought it was a really great read. This one was a YA fiction, so this one's straight up YA. I mean, a lot of the books that I read this month were like YA fantasy, which I feel like is like kind of its own thing, but this is a straight up YA, not even romance. There was a little bit of romance in it, but it was really a book about friendship, and I really enjoyed getting to read this. However, I felt that I was a little too old for the demographic. This is written, I think there are 16 in this story, and it was very evidently written for 16-year-olds. That being said, I still feel like it was a great story, and I feel like I definitely recommend it, especially to high schoolers or people who are in a point in their life where you're feeling like your friends are maybe not reaching the expectations that you had for them. And as an adult, I feel like a lot of these lessons taught in this book were necessary for me to kind of experience in my exploration of adult friendships. So, you know, it was just all about like the expectations that we set for ourselves and our friends, and what it really means to meet those expectations, and how hard we need to work to maintain our friendships. But yeah, it was a very great story. I highly recommend it, especially to younger girls who are maybe struggling with their friendships and drama and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Next, we have 2 books from Christina Lauren, who I think is my new favorite author. She's wonderful. The first book that I read from her was Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. This one has been highly recommended on BookTube. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating was my absolute favorite book so far of 2020. The first book to make me cry of 2020. I freaking loved it. It was so good. So it was a friends to lovers story, and that's my favorite trope. If you were wondering, I just really enjoy a good friends to love, you know, like we started as friends, we are exploring the idea of romance, and then slow burn into that full-on we're in love kind of thing. It was so freaking good. I highly recommend it. You know, it's a typical romance, so you obviously know that they get together, but it basically follows the story of I always forget characters' names. It basically follows the story of, it's literally in the name of the book. It's because I'm under pressure. It follows Josh and Hazel on their journey of being friends and their budding romance to each other. And I really mostly enjoyed this story because I felt like the 2 main characters were polar freaking opposites. And my husband and I are polar opposites. Like, there's no other explanation for it. I am just the absolute opposite of pretty much everything that he is, and I absolutely loved that Hazel was the same way. I feel like it's so rare to come across a love story about people who are just genuinely so different, and that isn't a problem for them. And I loved it. Hazel is a elementary school teacher who is just crazy bubbly. She just has no sorrows, no regrets for being unapologetically who she is, and I absolutely loved her character more than pretty much any character I've read in the past, I don't know, ever. And then Josh is this like perfectly unattainable, you know, cookie cutter guy who Hazel thinks is just the blueprint for perfect, and she loves him so much and so deeply, but because he is so unattainable, he's her best friend, and she is just along for the ride of helping him find his love or happiness. It's just very cute and interesting, and it's such a funny story. Like, they just go on all these blind dates. They set each other up on blind dates knowing they know that they love each other, but they haven't communicated that yet. It was just such a cute, wholesome, fun story, and I really enjoyed getting to experience a little bit of their romance. I love that it like gave you the ending, but then it also like explored their romance a little bit. That was so good. I love when romance stories do that. I hate when they just cut off at the okay, now they're together, which I get that there's not that much more to write, but whatever. Anyways, I loved that book so much that I picked up 5 other books from her, and I haven't read some of them, but I did finish Twice in a Blue Moon. That was the very last book of September that I read. Twice in a Blue Moon follows once again, I don't remember the characters' names, but it follows I do remember her name. It follows Tate, who is the daughter of a really famous actor, and it follows her in 2 different timelines. So it starts off with her when she is 18, and she travels to London, and she meets this guy, and they fall in love, and it's such a quick little like whirlwind of a romance, and then everything changes, and life, it just evolves and changes, and she never talks to him again after she leaves London. And then 14 years later, she is now a working actress, and she stumbles into him again, and it's just really exciting and interesting. And there is a little bit of an enemies to lovers romance, which is kind of interesting, but then it's also like a long lost love romance. I freaking loved it. It was so good. It wasn't as good as Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, but I feel like that's mostly just because I felt such a deep connection to Josh and Hazel. The first part of it, they were definitely young adults, but then like later on, they're in their like 30s. So it was more almost like a little bit more mature than what I would normally read, with me being in my young 20s, but I still really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to be checking out more of Christina Lauren as I continue on next month. But that's it. That's all I have for September. I know this video is long, and I don't know if anyone will watch it, but if you do, please subscribe. Comment down below if you're also a booktuber. I would love to make more friends on this platform and have a little bit of a community. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this video. Thank you for welcoming me back to YouTube with open arms. Please comment any other book suggestions or video suggestions you guys have in the comment section. I would love to look into those. I don't know what I have planned for this YouTube video. I don't know if I plan on it completely becoming a booktube channel, or if I plan on still sprinkling in a little bit of the vlogs every now and then. But comment what you guys think. Yeah, that's all I have to share. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble about books. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Bye.